If we look as good on camera with without the full costume, but hey, whatever works. Picks and bans for game number 2, Jin Air versus KT. At least people can see our massive muscles now.
Yeah.
That's the best part, isn't it? Yeah.
That is the best part. Well.
Oh, Shen is banned. Oh, the humanity. Gangplank banned out as well by KT.
Well, we've been banned by Jin Air, I guess.
We got to go.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, cast is over. See you going home. Fizz ban as well. Against Someday, they really don't want him to play that Fizz.
Yeah, same bans as last game. Will they take out the Lulu, or will they first pick it? We've seen Trace play the top Lulu recently, and there's the Callista. So Ashe was banned by KT in game number 1, and there is Fiora.
The Fiora ban is a little bit interesting because while Someday played a good Fiora, I don't feel like it was the Fiora that caused Jin Air's problems that game. What do you think?
I would agree. I think Trace played very well into the split push Fiora.
Yeah.
And even though Pilot got exploded by Fiora in that last team fight, that was not a Fiora problem. That was a positioning problem from Jin Air.
Exactly. There's a Victor ban, so no first pick. It seems like they're trying to set up Nagne with the ability to get that Azir again. Yeah. But what is Jin Air going to take first? The Lulu. Okay, yes. Left open.
I think that's definitely the right pick. Sure, you have to give up the Azir to Nagne and give him probably his best champion, but it's a flex pick for Jin Air. They know how to play with the Lulu really well. They've always been a team that has been very successful with Lulu play.
That's right. Elise locked in for KT. And 2 more picks over to Jin Air. See what they decide to go with. Will they be the ones to take the Kog'Maw? Do you think they're going to go for any sort of Juggermaw composition?
Could very well do something like that. I think that taking the Cog right now is a good idea so that you can deny KT that very good protect the Kog'Maw comp that they had last time with the Gragas. I mean, they can take Lulu, Gragas, Kog'Maw right now. Yeah, I think this is very smart.
There we go. So the cards appear to be already on the table for Jin Air if they lock this in. Oh, the Nidalee would be a very interesting choice, though.
Yeah, especially with the Nidalee nerfs coming through. Obviously, that is a big pickup for Chaser. And Jin Air as a team loves to run these kite and poke compositions.
Yep.
It's actually something they haven't done so much in this gauntlet.
Alistar, okay. So they're going to grab the bot lane now. Going to give Che the Alistar. Almost seems like we're switching compositions this game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And they can save the Gragas till a bit later. I still think the Gragas is a pretty ideal pick for them.
Yeah, but with the Elise already on the KT side, there's no real reason to pick it so early.
Completely agree with you.
So what's it going to be for KT? Do you just pick your bot lane here, I suppose?
Yeah, you want to be able to counterpick the top side. You need to know where the Lulu is going.
Well, the Ashe has been a pretty good answer to the Kog'Maw so far because it really doesn't matter how many shields are on the Kog'Maw. If you get stunned by that Ashe arrow, everybody's going to get onto you anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point. Ashe is very good against Juggermaw because Kog'Maw is standing in the front line.
Yeah.
So adding some more crowd control. If you can get Ashe Maokai here, you're going to feel pretty damn good about dealing with the Kog'Maw, and it makes positioning for Kog just that much harder. GBM switching over to Cleanse and Flash right here. Of course, there's always an outside shot that we could see a mid-Kog'Maw.
It's true.
Which
you'd think he'd be playing that Lulu, though. His Lulu is so good.
Yeah, but Trace's Lulu is also very good, and could go for the Orianna. That's another safe pickup to help protect the Kog. Ori Gragas puts them in, they have a very nice composition here. They've got good engage, good disengage, and they have that ability to really play around Pilot's Cog, and that's what it's going to be, is a Juggermaw with a top lane Lulu.
Yeah, this feels like a really comfortable composition, specifically for Jin Air. You've got a lot of players on the picks they prefer to play, and you've got a game style that's just kind of slow and steady, you know, which is what Jin Air seems to be best at right now.
I like the fact that we're seeing the 2 cleanses. We have seen the Ku Tigers play with Cleanse in lane against the Ashe, and that actually proved to be pretty successful. Now they're going to switch it over to heal for the Orianna, but they have enough disengage that it's going to be really hard, even with the Ashe Maokai, which I thought KT would be picking, to find kills onto Pilot.
Well, that's exactly what Jin Air is hoping. They want to make it difficult to get onto that AD carry Kog'Maw. Maokai, though, a good pickup for KT, obviously can be a pretty big backline tank, and with the right teleports can maybe get in onto the Kog'Maw, but it's going to be tough. They're going to switch it to Yasuo. Okay, here we go. Some days Yasuo was something that we've seen before. It's been pretty strong. but only Braum for the knockups, I believe. Or the Azir, too, as well, with the Emperor's Divide.
Here's the interesting part. Someday has only played top lane Yasuo in Dinar previously. Now, the Wind Wall will be doing some work, of course, against the Glitter Lance, which is the main spell from Lulu that you have to be worried about in that laning phase, but this is something just a little bit different. They're going to go for a 1-4 split again, and they never really got it rolling last game because they couldn't, but now there's nothing really to stop the Yasuo from split pushing. There's no Malphite there.
The thing is, though, is that yesterday we saw CJ try the same thing multiple games. Janair was like, all right, take our inhibitor. We don't care. We're going to get the objectives, and we're going to just push into your base as a strong 5-man unit.
And they have the Siege this game, which is what they lacked last time. So that's going to be a powerful option.
That's right, Janair trying to tie things up, get one step closer to Worlds. Let's see if they can do it. And welcome for the second time today to Summoner's Rift. KT Rolster versus the Janair Green Wings, a best of 5 to decide the last seed from Korea to the 2015 League of Legends World Championships. KT winning a team fight in the later stages of game number 1, able to take that one. Janair looking pretty good regardless. And you'd have to imagine this is still going to be a close one. I think it's very likely we're going to see the blind pick today.
Yeah, it does seem to be leaning in that direction. I do really like the pivot that KT made during the draft phase. So as soon as they realized that they were going to be dealing with a Juggermaw and that there was so much disengage, more than really Ashe Maokai could actually effectively engage on, they switch their tactic. They go for the top lane Yasuo, that pocket pick that we know Someday is extremely good on, and they make the last pick count. There is no longer any option for, if Someday gets rolling, to stop him from split pushing. They have no tools to do that. I mean, literally nobody can stop him. So, potent position.
No, don't play it there. They'll hear you. Someday. He's a terrible Yasuo player. Obviously.
Giving away his position in the brush with the flute, man.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's an epic bait, though.
He's giving away his whole team. He's like, oh, who's in the brush?
Yeah, and then they might check it, thinking Yasuo is there, but there's a Braum in there, and
nope.
Braum Ashe, pretty punishing at level 1. Delayed invade here from KT Rolster.
Yeah, you know, yesterday we saw a couple of pretty huge level 1 fights. Might see some action again this game. Janair spots him coming in. Uh-oh. Pilot on the run, gets tagged by that Q. He may have to flash here. One hit away from that stun, and a summoner definitely burned for Pilot. That was a close call for Janair.
Yeah, let's keep in mind what Score is going to be doing after this, and if Chaser is going to go immediately in there, if they're going, KT's going to path blue to blue or do something like that. For the moment, will be just Lulu Trace in lane, because we are going to get those standard lanes once again, except reversed.
That's right. The new standard.
Dual lane top.
That's right. It's got to be a tagline for some company. If it's not, it should be. The new standard. Oh, Chaser. May try for a bit of action here in the mid lane.
Possible level 2 gank coming in. Nagne has to be careful. Is he going to go up for any more CS? Ooh,
oh, there he goes.
Okay.
Nagne could be in trouble. There's a flash. Chaser burns his as well to try to connect with the body slam. Doesn't do it, so Summoner's used on both sides, but it is nice for GBM to have that one out of the way.
It's very important because now he has much more room in that lane. We see Trace and Chaser coming up here just to go ahead and take away that blue buff. They know that Nagne will be reluctant about coming down here.
That's right. And looks like Janair's going to be able to take the blue buff from Score. Yeah, Score getting forced away here. Trace doing a lot of damage to him. Score is slowed by that Glitter Lance. He may have to flash here. There's a knock-up. Score flashes over the wall to escape. Another summoner burned away by Janair.
GBM just threatening, had the position into the enemy jungle, and Score did not have to go for that. Could have easily just pathed over to his red buff instead.
I don't think he respected the CC that Gragas and Lulu can put together.
Yeah, You really can't go with that. Someday had just gotten down into that bottom side of the map. He's an early level Yasuo, doesn't have any items or really anywhere near as much as utility as Lulu does early.
Knock up onto Peekaboo as Shay and Pilot back off just a bit. And this Ashe, it still seems like it's in kind of a bizarre spot here in Korea because we see it sometimes being such a high priority. Yesterday it kind of seemed to fall off just a little bit. Now today here it's back again. It's hard to really judge what Korea genuinely feels about Ashe at the moment.
Well, they wanted Ashe after they saw the Kog'Maw, so it makes sense what they were trying to do, and it's still going to be good when it comes to creating picks if they can get any. They can just throw up the arrow underneath the turret and then attack the turret too if they want to siege. So you can use that Ashe arrow in a variety of ways. You don't necessarily have to team fight with it.
Yeah. Teleport being used to get Trace back to lane, it looks like. Down in bot, Someday used his a little while ago, so fairly even on the summoners. A little bit of a TP advantage for a short time coming in for KT. Slightly later this game.
It will be when Someday gets 6 too, and with Peekaboo in that bottom side, if he can get 6 fast enough, maybe they can make a play there. Probably not though, so it's probably a pretty safe teleport for Trace, and unless you have a knock up there, the Yasuo teleporting in on you isn't actually that scary. So.
Otherwise, things pretty even across the board right now. Pretty even CS for all the lanes at this point. Trace catching up with whatever he was lacking.
Man, getting that early flash out of Nagne is so helpful too. When Azir can really harass you and poke you down early.
Yeah.
Nagne now has to think twice, and that will give GBM quite a bit of freedom just to farm up until he can get enough sustain in that lane where he can shield himself and not worry so much about Sand Soldier poke.
And I think we're in for another long one. Jin Air, they really prefer to, and we've seen this all season long, they really prefer to play these comps where they can just kind of sit, farm, wait for the late game, come in with a lot of dragons, some strong teams.
And we know they're very good at these kiting compositions too.
Yeah.
They certainly have the option to engage here thanks to the Alistar and the Gragas, but generally Jin Air a team that likes to play fights moving backwards. And that is 100% of their wheelhouse this game, and they will be able to force those fights just because of how strong their siege is. Excited to see what they do. Jin Air, a lot of the power in this composition is going to come through them grouping. And then moving from that point forward, and KT just need to power up this Yasuo as fast as they can, and they're trying to do that with the use of that Avarice Blade, of course, getting him a little bit of extra money. But there's not a lot of kill potential in that lane.
Not a ton.
Lulu, now level 6. Really hard to kill her, even if you have the Elise Yasuo combination where you can just chain the cocoon into Yasuo ultimate or vice versa.
GBM coming to help Chaser take those wolves, I guess. And then take his blue. KT coming down. Are they going to try? Can you? I mean, like you just mentioned, it's so hard to gank a Lulu after level 6.
No,
I don't think they're thinking about it. They're just trying to get some vision for a dragon upcoming, maybe.
They just wanted to take the pink ward away and score absolutely right. Yep, going for that dragon. Just playing around the pressure and the vision clearing from his top laner.
Yeah, looks like Jin Air's going to give KT a pretty early, easy dragon.
Level 5, and finally Score gets that dragon to refocus onto his spiderlings there. And with that recall coming in, Pilot not there, it's going to be a very easy early dragon. And this is a really important takeaway. Just like last game, Jin Air is the team that benefits from getting these dragons the most. So now, at the earliest, they'll get their fourth dragon by 14, or their first dragon rather, by 14 minutes. And that means that KT has opened up more time to just split push, where they don't have to fight around the dragon.
You know, the funny thing is that even if Jin Air does get their first dragon, then that's still like, what, 4 minutes, 5 minutes earlier than they got the first dragon last game. So
yeah,
I don't think they're too worried about it. Slow and steady wins the race has been sort of the moniker for Janair this season.
Interesting. Somebody going for Phage, actually. Not going to be picking up that fast static Shiv. Instead prioritizing the Trinity Force, which is, of course, a huge amount of damage.
Yeah. It seems a little bit surprising, though, given that he's against a decent wave clear lane like Lulu. He's taking a little bit of damage there. I suppose you could argue that by going for the Trinity Force faster, it gives you more presence in the dragon fights, and you can really kind of keep that away from Janair.
Gives you more presence against
Whoa,
Lulu,
all
too.
over Trace there, but of course Wild Growth comes up.
Yeah, just trading ults, nothing too big. And yeah, I'm curious where he goes with this, because you're right, his wave clear isn't going to be quite so good for some times, as opposed to the immediate boost with the static Shiv. But his power, his big power spike is going to come a lot sooner. If he could still go Phage into static Shiv.
True, just needing a little bit of extra move speed and health with that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where he goes with this and how he's going to use this build.
Oh, over the wall on the Nagne. Nice knockback with the explosive cask. They get the flash again. Second time now that they've traded Chaser's flash for Nagne's flash. They got the summoner heal too, so maybe they can finally find a gank in this mid lane.
I don't know why Nagne used the summoner heal right there. There wasn't really any threat on him any longer. Gragas had disengaged, no Gragas flash, no ultimate, so maybe a bit of a mistake right there from Nagne, but getting both summoners is absolutely huge, and that gives GBM even more freedom in this lane on the Orianna.
Yeah, it's been able to keep up in farm very, very well. But can they get any kills? You know, that's the big question. Because that's what I want to see, Monty. I want to see some kills.
I want to see Janair grouping and KT split pushing and no one fighting, just trying to win via that pressure.
That sounds boring. No. No, Monty, no. Let's not do that.
I like teams trying to win the game, not just fighting.
Hey, you know what the fastest way to win the game is?
Surrendering?
No, that's the fastest way to lose the game. The fastest way to win the game is make them surrender by killing them a bunch in the early game.
And demoralizing them?
Yeah, that's right. Not that we would know anything about what being demoralized feels like today. I'm not familiar with that feeling.
Our crab walking was glorious, though.
It was. You know, we practiced that. Crab walked all over this stage before the show today. If you're going to cosplay Shen, you got to get the crab walk right. And I think, you know, right now we can call ourselves one of the some of the foremost Shen cosplay experts in the world.
Especially with the crab walk.
Yes, I agree. Big thanks, shout out to OG and Manny for helping us put the costumes together.
Yeah, definitely.
Would not have been possible without him, of course. Everyone knows Manny, the giant man Annie.
Also, shout out to Riot Games for making Shen a terrible crab-walking ninja, so we learned how to crab-walk.
It was so much funnier that we got to do that. Ooh, arrow onto Pilot. Knock up from Peekaboo as well, too. Cleanse used right away. Pilot's okay. A lot of damage onto Che, though. He uses that ultimate to stay alive, so they tried for the all-in. They got the summoners they were looking for. No summoners used on the KT side. You have to imagine that arrow was just used to kind of get the cleanse out of the way.
Well, we'll see if it pays off. The Elise has to come down here now if they're going to make good on the promise of killing that lane, but that's the power of the cleanse in the Ashe 2v2. And it's worked well before, and it continues to do work now. But Chase still has that exhaust, wasn't too trigger happy with it, so they have another way to prevent an all-in, but here comes Score, very predictably.
Yeah, but does Janair see it coming? Chaser is there. They spot him with a ward, though.
Chaser knows what's going on. The cleanse is down.
Yeah.
The Astro is going to be up in about 20 seconds, so there's a very predictable jungle pattern here to be had. Chaser going to take a look in the enemy jungle.
Pilot got to be careful. There's a cocoon, the exhaust. Pilot still in trouble. Che tries to save him. They can't. The knockup doesn't work. Arrow gets the kill there. First blood goes over to KT. We talked about how obvious that was. It was, oh, Che caught under turret. Nearly taken down there. Explosive cask used defensively by Chaser, but yeah, it was predictable, but still. Pilot more or less face checking that brush, man. I don't know what to say. It's the second time now. Well, I mean, not the second time, but Pilot's not having the best series.
He is not. That said, in the first game, it was a rather sloppy face check by Peekaboo, which caused that death. Yeah. This time, it is Pilot, and you just have to expect that's coming in. You cannot walk close to that brush. You don't have vision.
Yeah.
Really questionable decision.
I agree. After losing that cleanse, you know, what do you expect is going to happen? Well, exactly that. That's what's going to happen. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, things proceeding pretty much normally. Someday slight lead on CS. They may try to dive Trace here as Score and Peekaboo enter the jungle. I wonder. Dragon up in about 10 seconds, though. So if they show themselves, it might be a signal for Jin Air to just go for that dragon.
Yeah, they could make that play, that's for sure, considering how many people, but they're going to take away the blue buff right now from Orianna. Jin Air will respond in kind on the opposite side of the map. Peekaboo already there, though, and they have the vision. Pilot wants this turret, but he's not going to get it.
Well, they'll try. Oh, and there's a dive going in on a Trace, a bit of damage. Nice cocoon right after the wild growth, and he doesn't quite have enough tankiness, or does he? Trace staying alive under turret. Someday could be in trouble. No, the repel drops a turret aggro. Looks like KT is going to get out of this one, but of course, Jin Air, seeing what's going on, will go right for that dragon.
Yeah, they're going to pick up their first dragon of the game, which is exactly what they needed, but now this split pushing has really been activated for KT Rolster. Score got the kill in the end of that, but the tower gold will be handed over to Someday as soon as he can
eventually
clear out the rest of this wave.
It looks like he's got a little while until he can get that turret, and that may be time for Trace to get back to lane.
Nah, he doesn't have teleport. It's going to go down on the next wave. Yeah. If Someday wants to take it, and he doesn't, looks like just wants to recall right now and continue putting pressure onto the Lulu.
And because of that, Arrow getting some damage down on the bot turret. Not a lot. Jin Air seems to be on the back foot already a bit here.
So we'll be Phage into Static Shiv. Interesting pickup. Of course, does give him some extra tankiness. And oh wow, another flash body slam. But,
but
no Summoner's Blown. Yeah,
not using his to escape, just eeing out. Hawk shot. Again, I talked about this yesterday. I'm worried about that Hawk, man, because it's like doing a barrel roll. Hawks shouldn't fly like that. Hawks don't do barrel rolls. They just kind of flap like a normal bird.
Do hawk shots do barrel rolls, though? Is it a real hawk, Doa? Or is it a magic hawk that can do as many barrel rolls as it wants?
I think because of barrel rolls, it can't be a real hawk. It's not a magical hawk. Ash doesn't have like a quiver full of live hawks. which would be great. I don't know why she doesn't. Works for Quinn. Jay pushes. Oh, hello. Score is right there. Jay pops the ultimate. Chaser there as well, too. Braum ult comes in. Nice arrow on the Pilot. Going to cleanse out of it right away, though. Teleport comes in for Someday. They're trying to take down Shay. Looks like they'll be able to just barely get him. That was a lot used for a kill onto the support.
And Trace gets down into the bottom side with a teleport, but can't really make an effect. Doesn't actually have a chance to use that wild growth. Someday still has last breath up. There's a nice block. Yep. Wind wall. They just want
another turret. And they will get it. 2 turrets already. KT looking much stronger in the early game in Game 2 than they did last time.
Well, Score, I'm not going to say this is great jungling because a lot of these face checks I really don't think should be happening from Jin Air, but he's definitely making an impact in this game.
Yeah, he's where he needs to be. Where he needs to be. Or when he needs to be there, rather. Trace moving up. He's going to get some time to farm and catch up to Someday now.
Someday just finished his Trinity Force, so he had enough gold. It won't be a Shiv. It's just going to be the straight up T-Force right away, and there is nobody who can stop him. Trace doesn't have any armor right now, so he is going to get absolutely wrecked by this Yasuo, and Someday is in a great position to just take over this game.
Yeah. See how aggressive he wants to be with it. They've got a little bit of vision done in the river.
Tricky play by Jin Air.
Yeah, Jin Air knows the big threat is Someday right now. They see that Trinity Force on him. They really want to pick on this guy. If they can get him, if they can get the turret, they can help normalize a bit maybe. But Someday's not going to give them that opportunity, it looks like.
Yeah, instead, he's going to have to fall back because he sees that there are 3 people here, and this is where Jin Air's siege really has to come into play. They need to fight back in terms of gold. They're 4K down, but they have such a strong siege that they can take a tower here. Tricky little rotation when they didn't want to put people too far forward, because if you look at that bottom side of the map, what just happened was KT, after teleporting into that bottom side, warded up the bottom. So they knew it was going to be relatively unsafe to push out too far in that lane. Instead, they make an adjustment, see Someday in the top side, and just start to stack guys up there, and that's the right play to make. You don't really lose that much CS. Indeed, the Arrow just come and Trace already back down there to catch the wave, and instead you start to catch up.
Oh, speaking of arrows, GBM flashes out of it. Wow, that was a quick reaction to get out of the way of that one. He did not. I don't think he had vision of that until it came into mid lane.
He did see, I think, Ash walking up there. There was a ward at the red buff, so.
But he
had an inkling.
He knew it was coming. Maybe. Either way. Quick flash from GBM. And they still take a lot of damage on their turret, though. KT with all the pressure right now.
And slowly those wards are getting cleared out by Jin Air. They know where they are and that they have to regain control over that side because Jin Air, they need to get this Kog'Maw nice and fed. And Kog'Maw's fallen behind right there, but he's going to be the primary source of damage on this team.
Yep. Lulu doesn't do a ton. Orianna does a bit, but they really need that Kog'Maw to be the hyper carry. KT stealing the blue buff for Nagne.
Orianna can do a lot, but she's going to need Death Cap and Void Staff before she does. Orianna really doesn't help significantly until you get somewhere in the realm of 3 to 4 items.
You'd think that would be possible, given how GBM and the rest of Jin Air plays these games out, going for the super late game. And they're going to need to now. I mean, KT has enough of an edge that it seems like Jin Air just wants to stabilize at this point, right? They just want to stop losing turrets. They just want to get some farm onto Pilot. And if they can do that, they can come back in, like, I don't know, 20 minutes and have a good team fight. Or good siege.
Yeah, and a good team fight. I mean, they're certainly very team fight capable with this composition. And we know what the Juggernaut can do in the late game. It is one of the most powerful late game compositions. And they have the Lulu, they have the Orianna. It's going to be very well supplemented by about 1 billion shields.
Yeah. So
certainly something they can run with, but Jin Air just kind of has to hold on right now as best they are able. And it's up to KT. Need to make this split push happen. The Yasuo has to do work. Someday going for a Cowl now for some more defensive stats.
Now it looks like KT's going to get their second dragon throughout all of this as well. Nothing really that Jin Air can do to stop it. They don't need the dragons quite as much this game, I guess, because of their late game team, but they really... It's not so good if KT gets them instead.
Yeah, Jin Air, they do have some decent dragon control, but really they're built around the siege and grouping his 5 onto turrets. So the fact that they're behind turrets is really the most important part. Arrow just sitting in a pink warded brush right now, trying to be surprising.
Oh, Arrow goes through. Oh, it's Jay. Oops, it's like I was only warding.
Poor cow.
Oh, Peekaboo popped out in the lane by Chaser's ultimate. Tried to make a pick there, but the angle wasn't quite right, I guess. Interesting situation there.
Peekaboo has been making some weird decisions so far this series.
Yeah,
I really haven't been that impressed with his play.
I agree. I mean, for someone who's made such a big difference for this KT team, both in the season finals and now today, Peekaboo just kind of looks off his game. I mean, some of the worst play we've seen from him all season, since he started playing for KT, rather.
Yeah, he's just made some bizarre choices when it comes to flanking or getting too close to brushes. He's playing aggressively, but he's been mostly punished for it by Jin Air rather than able to make the big plays himself. And that does happen when you play like Peekaboo. I mean, Peekaboo is a super aggressive jungler, and he likes to be the one setting up those big plays. There's no doubt about it.
Super aggressive jungler, huh?
Or support player, rather, yeah.
He's basically another jungler.
He is basically a jungler.
It's true. The original roaming support here in Korea. Does like to keep it bloodthirsty. Oh, gets knocked right back into lane into GBM, though. Chase still doing some damage. Here comes Chaser, Pilot, Trace. They get the kill when bloodthirsty goes wrong.
He thought he was safe. He had a whole heap of wards. If you look at the enemy jungle right now, KT had a nice ring of wards in, but it just, when he doesn't have ult and he doesn't have flash, and Jin Air knows that, they're not afraid to make that play.
Yep, still 4K gold down, though. They're going to need more than just 1 kill on the support.
Jin Air taking a peek right now, making sure there aren't any tricky barons happening this game from the KT side. And KT, this Yasuo is still quite terrifying. He goes up and farms the Krugs, but they keep putting Yasuo in top, yet all of the vision for KT is in the bottom. They haven't been getting deep wards into the top side, so Someday can't quite start doing damage to this tier 2, and they haven't swapped him in. Even though the dragon is down, they could easily just put their duo lane top, but instead KT, instead of just letting the Yasuo 1v1 the Lulu in the bottom lane, makes that decision that he's going to be farming out the jungle instead. Someday is standing in a ward right now around the Baron.
Plus, not the best place to stand. Jay pushes Peekaboo back a bit. KT really wants this mid lane turret. They should be able to get it. Well, fairly soon. Maybe not.
KT needs to make a decision. Do you ward up the top side now and let Someday apply pressure to a tier 2, or do you put Someday in the bottom side?
You know,
one of those decisions must be made.
It's interesting that we see KT having this kind of struggle in terms of what they're going to do. It looks like they're going to get the mid lane turret, because I felt like that was a big problem in their match versus SK Telecom in the Champions Summer Finals as well, is that they'd get these little leads, and then for some reason, inexplicably, they just don't seem to know what to do with them anymore.
That was particularly problematic in Game 1 of that series, obviously, when Arrow got really far ahead on Corki and had the 12-minute Trinity Force off of 3 kills early game, and they just didn't actually snowball it properly, either by sieging or by exerting their influence over the dragon.
Right.
But now they have actually made a decision. They put Yasuo on the bottom side. This is what they should do right now.
Trying to split push away from Baron if they can.
Actually, you know what? They just put a bunch of wards at the top side, then moved Yasuo down there. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, they've got a couple wards. I mean, they've got a nice pink ward for Yasuo outside the red buff pit, so things aren't too bad. A couple pink wards in there. Just one, rather.
Someday had an opportunity to go and take their red buff. Doesn't know that it's up, but could have checked. And now there's a ping going down onto the red buff by KT.
Yeah. That's going to help out as far as Someday doing some split pushing down that bot lane. Next dragon is up in 1 minute. Jin wanting to tie up the dragon count if they can. Are you at a state, though, where you can fight as Jin? You've got the Trinity Force, you've got the Blade on the Pilot. A couple items for GBM, though not going to be doing a ton of damage. Same for Trace, I guess. So do you fight this?
Yeah. I mean, they have the wards. They know exactly where everyone is. They know that Jin just took away that red buff of theirs and put it onto Pilot. So KT should be in a good position in 40 seconds. They have total dominance when it comes to vision, and Nagne's going to be able to get blue buff before this starts.
Looks like he might have a little bit of time, yeah. They're going up top, though.
They just want to make sure that Baron is warded so that it's not going to be some sort of surprise counter Baron play by Jin while they're doing the dragon.
Nobody likes surprise Barons, that's for sure. Trying to have a picnic and he just like comes out of the ground. You're like, Baron, come on, man.
Eats all your food.
You just knocked over my Doritos. Not cool. Party foul, Baron. Oh. Pilot, a little bit far forward, takes some hits, but not a lot of damage. And just Arrow split pushing. KT getting themselves in a better and better position for this, what would be their third dragon. And they're going to start it. All right, Jin, the time to make a play is now. Knock-up used by Yasuo. No Death's Breath, or Last Breath, rather. And Dragon goes to KT. That's 3-1 now. KT looking much, much more dominant here in Game 2.
I can tell when you've been playing too much Diablo.
I know, right? I said Death's Breath. I was going to mention that, yeah. A little bit too much D3 these days. My free time is farming Death's Breath. So Arrow onto GBM. GBM locked up, Wild Growth used. Empress Divide pushes Jin away. GBM okay, nice shockwave, and that's the fight Jin was looking for. Exhaust onto Someday as he runs away. Nagne's still alive. They got Arrow. Another kill. There's one for Pilot, and Jin going right to the Baron after this. They may stay and take out this turret first. Why not?
I feel like KT did so much work in picks and bans because they realized that they weren't going to be able to engage. Now they hit the arrow, and it looks so good, right? You think, oh man, we're going to go in on this. GBM is out of position. And then you remember how just the volume of disengage that Jin possesses. And just remember, GBM didn't even have to use Flash to get out of that.
Yep.
So just way too much.
Let's watch this again.
It's a nice arrow, but you don't follow up on this. KT, they flash for the cocoon, and it looks good, but just everything going right for Jin Air Green Wings.
Wow.
And GBM hits a massive shockwave there.
And the thing is he knew exactly where KT was going to be. The ball placement was perfect from GBM. I mean, Orianna is his flagship champion. It's what he made a name for himself on, and making another name for himself today. He's going to have a lot of names.
Yeah, they're still behind, but Baron is absolutely crucial to this Juggernaut composition. This is where that grouping and sieging can really come into play, and they'll be able to equalize gold quite easily.
Yeah, first stop is going to be the bot lane, it looks like. And this turret is not going to last long. In fact, it's already dead before I can even finish my sentence.
And you can't do that if you're KT. Just be happy with what you're getting in this game so far, and the fact that this Yasuo was so far ahead. Stop the siege if you're able to, but there's simply too many tools that Jin Air has to punish you if you decide to go all in and chase, or score rather, made the choice to flash Cocoon right there, and GBM just didn't even dip below 50% HP.
Yeah. Well, we've seen two very tenuous, very close games with very minor mistakes making the difference, and KT, a very minor mistake to go all in on GBM there after the arrow hit. It was a small thing, but it cost him a Baron, cost him a turret, may cost him even more.
While blocking the Bio-Arcane Barrage right there, so they don't actually get too much damage down.
That's nice.
But likely going to be 2 turrets here as the cannon minion continues to fire away from the back line.
Yeah, that cannon minion doing work. Pilot's going to do the rest of it, though, and Windball preserving the turret for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, they're going to get it for this wave, but with the Whimsy, with the Lulu shield, with the Orianna shield, Pilot can just face tank the turret, and that's going to be it.
Yep. So 4 turrets to 3. Jin Air takes the lead in turrets and nearly catches themselves up in the gold. The big story for KT is still all those dragons. They still have a pretty big threat coming from that part of the map.
Yeah, but now Jin Air has that priority. They are the ones who are really keeping the tempo of this game. They're right back in it from an early deficit, and they can play around that dragon pretty nicely. It's going to be a few minutes before it comes up. I don't recall the timer, so I don't think the Baron buff will still be available by the time that dragon fight starts, though. No, it will not.
Think so.
It will not.
Yeah. All right. Chaser just using that empowered recall to get back to base. We'll see what he decides to buy. Going to be the Locket of the Iron Solari.
And we are going to see a Banner of Command onto Che here, which is another great addition to this composition because it gives you some split push threat and it powers you up even further when you have that Baron. And there's not a great way for KT to clear that out. Ashe really can't walk up to auto it because she has no escape mechanisms other than a flash. And Yasuo certainly can't get up there. KT in a rough way again at this point in the game, just blowing their lead on an unnecessary fight. But it's, again, it's so hard. You see that arrow in your KT, you totally understand why they would initiate that team fight afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really looked like GBM was completely caught. But it's easy to think that when you're facing a Juggernaut composition, you've got all those shields, and those can be put on anyone. It doesn't need to go on the Kog'Maw.
Right. And it's not even just that it's Juggernaut Doa, it's Juggernaut with Gragas Alistar. There's so much displacement.
Yeah, you've got the peel, you've got the shields.
It's not realistic that Yasuo is going to be able to do anything in team fights here.
Yep. Well, 0-0-2, so despite the items some days picked up, hasn't had much of an impact at all in team fights.
Well, he has passed the Flame Horizon, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing okay in terms of farming and maybe the split push as well here and there, but team fights, he's just not terribly useful. 30 seconds until Dragon now.
He wasn't supposed to be useful in team fights this game, though, so he's actually doing his job. He should just keep doing what he's doing right now, applying pressure with that split push, and that's what he was picked for. They just got greedy when they saw that arrow.
Yep. Arrows, arrows.
Finding targets, but deceptive. Deceptive.
Yeah.
Don't want to go in on those. Dragon up in 10. Jin Air with the position right now. KT has plenty of vision in their own jungle, though, and Jin Air hasn't really gotten in very many deep wards, and those that they have will be cleared out immediately. But
well, they're going to start that dragon anyway, and we'll see if KT can respond here. Someday responding by split pushing, but that dragon going to go over to, it goes over to Jin Air. So 2-3, the dragon threat not as strong as it used to be for KT now, but,
they're just trying
will they lose an inhibitor turret here?
Yeah, they're trying to delay them right now. This is a good play from KT. This is what you want to do. Someday doing a hell of a lot of work, and there's going to be, not a delayed recall, but it's only
he's gonna get the turret.
That's really important, and KT also going to push up the mid lane. So this is what they should have been doing this game. Great call from KT. They already have 3 dragons. They know that Jin Air has so long before they can actually get a 5th stack that they're just going to trade an inhibitor turret for it. Fantastic play on the map from KT Rolster.
Yeah, it's funny though. I mean, the thing is we've seen Jin Air all week now. They give up inhibitor turrets. They give up inhibitors for objectives, and they seem to still win games that way. I don't know if this one's going to turn out like that, but Jin Air seems to have this uncanny ability to have that situation not matter as much for them.
Yeah, but it works out a lot better if you're going to be threatening like a 5th, like a 5th dragon or something like that, or a Baron.
Of course.
When you're giving up an inhibitor turret for a 2nd dragon, questionable, but then again, who was going to stop it right there? If anybody recalled, Someday could have. You needed more than one person to stop Someday, and that means KT gets Dragon. So really, KT just forcing Jin Air to make tough decisions. It's hard to say what Jin Air should have done better in that particular instance because they only had bad choices.
Yep.
So the fact that they didn't lose an inhibitor, interestingly, is probably the best possible realistic, accountable situation that Jin Air could have had, because if KT had gone up to 4 dragons, then you start to get really worried if you're the Jin Air Green Wings.
Yeah, they needed to take that one.
Yeah,
they needed to give up something for it.
They did, and they didn't actually give up the inhibitor itself.
Yep. Could have been worse. Oh, things are worse for Trace though. Just soloed under turret by Someday. Didn't even get a chance to use that wild growth.
Well,
how did that happen?
Someday has the big burst right now, and they're going to go for the Baron.
Yeah, well, they know with the top laner out of the way, they are free and clear to take it. Split push from Someday, still so strong, and Jin Air, a moment, kind of a spark there, a moment of hope with that team fight, but KT looks like they're going to be closing this one out pretty cleanly.
Yeah, they made that mistake, but ever since that point, KT, they realized that even if they got a great engage like that, this was not a team fight they were going to be winning.
Yeah.
They adjusted their shot calling, and now they are playing this game beautifully.
Wow, going right in on
really
the inhibitor.
Nice.
Jin Air can't do anything about it. KT, well, they get an arrow use on GBM. They just want the inhibitor, but they can't get it. Barely lives.
Yeah, smart just to not overcommit to that. You still have the Baron. You can come back again. You have all the waves pushing in your advantage right now.
Let's watch this replay again. Trace, how in the world does this happen? Just goes in.
I mean, he has no armor. It's just that damage. He has a Zhonya's Hourglass, but doesn't get a chance to activate it. And I think he just underestimated the amount of damage that Someday can do with a Trinity Force and an Infinity Edge.
Yeah, Someday can just more or less one-shot you through. Well, one combo you, I guess you could say.
Yeah. But if you're Trace, what are you supposed to do there? Okay. Wild growth yourself instantly, I guess, is the answer if he gets on top of you, but then you don't have that tool to stop him from pushing down the turret.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy decision to be made from Trace in this particular circumstance, and this is a problem with the draft, and now that KT is playing the split push properly, there really isn't an answer.
Yeah, well, Jin Air's going to need to do what they've been doing, and that's find these unlikely team fight wins. It's almost like Jin Air is like Neo CJ at this point, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little bit odd.
They have to find something really big in this late game. And more than likely, that's going to come off of a KT mistake, because with this open inhibitor and the Yasuo just consistently threatening it, KT, they've got the vision. They could be doing a little bit more here when it comes to pressure. They can group in that bottom side. They do have the mid wave pushed in right now.
Well, Someday split push is real. Ooh, they're going to try to chase him down, but I don't think they're going to catch him. Nope.
No, their engage isn't there, so it's just a whimsy Kog'Maw trying to get some poke off.
Yep. Mid lane tier 2 in a bit of trouble from KT. Someday just comes right back. He's like, all right, well, I'll just take the inhibitor then, maybe. Why not? Yep, there goes the turret.
There's really nothing.
A lot they could do.
There's really nothing Jin Air can do about this.
Now the pressure is getting really scary now from KT. trying to go on to Someday yet again. Banshee's Veil is popped.
The rest of his team is there.
Uh-oh, Chaser caught with the Cocoon. Has to get away with that body slam. He's got the shield, the command protect on him from GBM. They're going to keep him relatively high health, but Score just going after that inhibitor by himself. Wow, taking some pretty big poke from Pilot.
They can't
be careful.
They can't group like this. Yeah. It's really much too dangerous.
Well, they're going to try to come in onto the inhibitor. Che takes a lot of damage. There's the ultimate. Can they burst through it? No, not quite. KT, they still want the inhibitor.
Yeah, they're just trying to get the inhibitor here. You can see how far back KT is playing. They're just trying to get the last few hits in on it, but they are so scared of what Jin Air can bring to bear in a 5v5.
Oh, they should be, especially with Score at such low health. They're going to go in, get the inhibitor. Jin Air not turning around, not going to try anything. Oh, Che could come over the wall here. Oh, he gets popped by the Braum Q, gets slowed down. KT, there's a flash pulverize onto Peekaboo. Not the target Che was looking for. They turn and take him down. Remember, he had no ult before that fight. So KT just gets a kill on their way out. A couple seconds until Dragon. We'll see if they can pick that up too.
Notice how KT played that. They just waited for the wind wall cooldown so they could walk up with the Yasuo to actually take down the last few hits on the inhibitor. When they disengage, they're not shy about using flash just to make sure they get out of the Gragas ultimate. And then as soon as they kill Che, what do? They don't go for more kills. They back out and just take the Dragon. They are that one team fight. They really learned from that. And I'm happy they did learn, because their draft was so perfect to set them up for this situation. I think they really counterpicked intelligently with that Yasuo. And I'm sure that Jin Air didn't think the Yasuo was a possibility coming into this one, because it had only ever been played previously by Someday into Gnar. But it was absolutely the right call. And once KT figured out and actually played to their win conditions, you can see how effective it has been.
Yeah. Well, it's made a huge difference, and performances like this are the reason why Someday got so many MVP points in the regular season, the reason why he won the regular season MVP.
You know, I think he's the best top laner in the world. So
I think it's hard to argue with that right now, yeah. He can play such a huge variety of champions. He plays them all extremely well, and he's a big difference maker on this team.
Yeah, and just everything about KT's performance in this split push situation. They've been playing around the vision well. They've made the right calls around the Baron, and when it comes to actually taking the turrets and not fighting is absolutely what they want to do.
Oh, Jin Air hanging out near their mid lane, trying to keep KT from getting any more, but KT doesn't really need to be too aggressive with this. They can kind of just keep the lanes pushed up and then back off and go for Baron. Well, some slows onto KT. You know, Jin Air, to their credit, has some pretty good wards around Baron right now, considering the fact that they've been pushed back to their base for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising that they actually have those in there.
They did manage to get them in. They will be cleared out quickly by the pinks that are already there.
Oh, they're probably going to run out by themselves as well pretty soon.
Yeah, true. By the time the Baron comes up,
I think so.
Maybe a non-issue. Pilot now on wave clear duty against the super minions in the top lane.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Score just continuing to play a very patient Yasuo split push. And there's nothing KT has to do right now. Their best option is just to wait for the Baron to come back up and then just walk over to Baron, clear out the vision, and then Jin Air has to give it up for free, basically, or they lose their bottom inhibitor to Someday.
Yep. Easy red buff for Arrow. I just got to say, I love watching Ashe in competitive play.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
The ultimate is just, any ultimate in League of Legends that involves a big object like flying across the map, I love those. They're always fun.
You're into Jinx?
Yeah, man, Jinx, Ezreal, really cool as well.
Does create good moments of anticipation, doesn't it?
It does. It's fun. Well, some days lucky. I can do that with my Shen sword.
Oh, well, you would show us later.
I would, but we don't have time, you know? Just they like to close out the broadcast pretty quick, so maybe next time. Keep in mind.
All right.
Yep.
We'll make a YouTube video later.
That's right. By the way, our swords are actually made out of metal. Those are legit. I don't think they'd let those into any cosplay convention anywhere outside of Korea. Baron started by Jin Air. It's a bit of a desperation Baron. They need to do something. They need to try it, but KT wants to deny them. Baron doing a decent amount of damage, decent amount of magic shred. They're still going for it, though.
This is a great call by Jin Air.
Yeah, it is. It's the only call. It's the only thing they can do. Finally backing off of that a little bit. Peekaboo takes a lot of damage. Jin Air turning, Baron getting lower. Can they actually get this? KT coming in, score flashes in, he takes it, he steals a Baron, big knockup from Che, but KT still okay. Nagne coming from the side, and KT looking good after that Baron steal. This could be it. Jin Air on the run, but they're running to the wrong side of the map. Shockwave hits a couple people, Someday goes deep, gets taken out, but gets revived by the Guardian Angel. Wow, Windwall saves his life from the ball. That was close. I thought Score was dead. I didn't realize he had a GA.
And now there's the TP right into the mid lane.
Oh,
Someday going to finish this off.
That's right. They're going to delay Jin Air so long. There goes the Nexus turret. There goes the Nexus. And Someday is going to win it for KT. That's a 2-0. KT.
Inhibitor.
Oh, the inhibitor came back. It came back. Jin Air, I still don't think they can get back to base. Maybe they can. Trace is here. I guess it's not over yet. What?
Wow.
Scumbag inhibitor, man.
Wow.
That
Arrow going to go in.
It's like one auto away, dude. Oh, goodbye, Trace. Wild Growth gets the kill on a Nagne, but there we go. Okay, now they're going to end it. KT Rolster putting themselves one game away from the World Championships. GG. Interesting end to that one, but KT, you know, they looked strong in game one. Jin Air did good. KT found the team fight they needed to. In game two, looking much more dominant. The hopes for Worlds for Jin Air fans, I think, are slipping away pretty quickly here.
That was, as far as that game ending go, though, Jin Air made 100% the right call in that situation.
Yeah.
Because what did Jin Air want this whole game? They wanted KT to engage into them so they could kite it out. By forcing a Baron fight, that was about all they could do to get an advantage when it came to that team fight situation. Now, Score, you know, with your release, you have execute damage, so if you time your spite well enough with the execute on Elise, you can outsmite the enemy. So
yep, even a Gragas.
So
pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good steal, and that was the end of that game. And Jin Air now on the brink, being eliminated here. They've had a great gauntlet run so far, and some upset Jin Air fans. Looks like it's not over yet.
And that's true. I mean, CJ came back and brought it to Game 5 yesterday. We'll see if Jin Air can do the same thing. Do not go anywhere, guys. Next game, we could see the final Korean seed for Worlds decided. Will it be Jin Air? Will it be KT? Jin Air needs that big comeback. They've got it in them. Can they bring it out?
That's right, KT. Looking confident, though. They've looked poised. I really like their shot calling. It was excellent in that last game. The exception of that one hiccup, but they sure learned from it fast.
That's right. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back for Game 3 after this.